again, friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Amy, and I'm glad you decided to join me for chapter 51 of the book that I wrote called Legends, Orbs of the Elements. I hope everybody is having a wonderful Wednesday. I know I am. If you are interested in purchasing this book for yourself so you can read along with me or by yourself, I will be telling you all the fun details where to pick it up at the end of the video. So without further delay, let's just jump right back into this adventure. Chapter 51. The elves were now ready. They were all clad in their armor to do battle in. The metal was made of the strongest of metals. The elven blacksmiths were gifted in their workmanship and had incredible skills as an artist to engrave intricate designs, meaningful phrases, animals, or whatever the owner of the armor desired. Migiltura came up to Jacob. "All we need is our elks, which are the Roosevelt elks. They are the largest of their kind." Migiltra explained, with an air of pride in his voice. Jacob now watched his friend, the leader or king of the elves, produced a short, small horn that appeared to have been made from one of the animal's antlers. He put it to his lips and blew it once. There was no sound. He blew again. Still silence. Jacob was about to open his mouth when a great tremble of the ground shook. It then tapered off. As Jacob was picking himself up, he realized the earth had stopped shaking and he was amid a gathering of Roosevelt elk. There were both male and female elk. These elk were like the elves in which they were as graceful as their riders and carried the wisdom of the ages in their demeanor. Most of the elk stood between 6 to 10 feet in length and stood 2 to 3 feet tall at the withers. The color of the elks ranged from tan to variations of brown to dark brown. Migiltra strode to the largest of the animals. The animal snorted once and reared up on its hind legs. It was an impressive sight. Jacob watched in awe at the elk's front feet came down to the ground. The elven king gave the slightest bob of his head, and the elk twitched its ear. Each was in a mysterious way acknowledging the other's leadership. The elk let out its bugle. It was one of the most recognizable calls. It started off as a low-pitched growl that gets higher and than that of a high scream. After the noise died down, Migiltra smiled thinly and spoke out loud in the direction of the largest buck in front of him, the one that reared up. "Nainsai lumen." The graceful large creature gently nodded back, understanding the language of the elves. Migiltra now turned to Jacob. "Come, legend. It's time." Jacob nodded as all the elves mounted their chosen elk bull or elk cow, which was another name for a female elk. The elves strapped a leather quiver mount when they saddled up their animals. The elves also had bridles for the elk. It would hold their arrows and make it easier to shoot from once they were astride their animals. The elven soldiers fell into marching ranks. Some of the elk let out calls of excitement. Jacob felt a little awkward only riding on his horse. As Jacob sat in the saddle, one of the elk snorted in the direction of his chestnut bay with white socks. Jacob's horse halted suddenly, pawed the ground, tossed its head, whinnied, and snorted back at the elk. McGiltra chuckled and stretched his hand out and stroked the chestnut bay's neck. Don't pay heed to them, friend. These are warrior elk. They have seen many battle in their time. You have nothing to worry about. Surprisingly, this calmed Malachi, which was the name of Jacob's horse. McGiltra gave his bull elk a swift kick, and the animal began to move forward. As the party set off, Jacob rode alongside the Elven King. The legend asked, "May I ask what you said to your elk?" "My Elvish isn't refined as some other legends." McGiltra kept his eyes on the trail ahead, but answered the legend's question. "I said, it's been too long, my friend." Jacob smiled to himself. "That's what I thought you said." They rode and rested for periods. When they were resting, several hours later, a large hawk landed in a nearby tree. It wasn't long before they discovered that the hawk had turned into a fully clothed woman. She bowed respectfully to both Jacob and McGiltra. She spoke confidently about what she saw and concluded by saying, "I am to take you to the rest of us. You have all traveled far. Rest now. We will be watching over you." With that, she morphed back into her red-tailed hawk and took to the sky. Jacob sat by a bush. It was the first time he felt lonely. Sure, he was used to being out on his own, and currently he was in the company of elves, but he wished he could just see Castilia, just for a second, to make sure she was as good as she could be. A female elf spied him in his own thoughts and slowly drew near and took a seat next to him and softly spoke. "Legend, you let your heart and mind be at peace for now. You have done a great thing. Your sister will be okay." Jacob searched her eyes as if they would give him more guidance. He breathed out a heavy breath and replied, "I know, but I feel like she has a great burden and dilemma, and I'm not there to help her like an older brother should." At this, the elf chuckled warmly. Jacob raised an eyebrow at her. "What's so amusing?" Jacob asked, a little thrown off. The female elf calmed down a little, then replied, "Here we are on the brink of war, and here you are concerned about your sibling. Don't get me wrong. Family is everything. Forgive me. I thought it was funny." At this, Jacob tossed his head back a little and used both hands to rub his face. He gave her a sideways look. "Well, when you put it that way, I look like a legend that is on their first quest." The elf moved some of her hair back and smiled at him. "Never ask for forgiveness when a member of one's family is questing. It shows how big your heart really is. You are a good brother, Legend Jacob. May the elements protect you forever." After she spoke, she got up and squeezed his shoulder in encouragement and went on her way. An hour later, the Elven war party arrived to meet up with the others. So that is the end of the chapter for today. Oops. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, like I said, and want to purchase a copy for yourself, a friend, colleague, neighbor, anything like that, my book is available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Apple iBooks, and lots of other places books are sold. That would be awesome. Also, if you would leave a review if you are enjoying this book, that also helps me out a lot as well. If you like this content, I do other fun bookish content. I do Disney content. I do things related to my life. So if you are interested, go watch all those other fun videos. And as they say in my book, may the elements protect you. Until tomorrow, Bye-bye for now, everybody.